Alrighty, the last two episodes of and Beyond are out, and guess what? Once again, these were an improvement over the first one. They weren't really. The Ever After one wasn't really as heartfelt as John's, but the one with Yang and Rwby was obviously very interesting considering what happened in Volume 9. Now, I quite enjoyed this. I quite enjoyed all of it. I am super happy with how this turned out, and guess what? Everything about it was pretty good. So, starting off with Little's plot, we cut to him and Juniper going around. They meet the gemstones, they go to the market, they go to the herbalist, and then they eventually meet the Red King. And basically, what happens is, as Little is the new person who guides Ever Afterans back to redemption and from falling out of, losing their purpose, Little this time instead decides to play a game with the Red King, and because of that, he changes the Red King's mind, and we see that now they're not using the special flowers. If them they're not using the leaves of the tree. So, what we can infer from this is that Little's way of making people change or is not sending them to a tree to get rebuilt. It is to convince them that they don't need that particular purpose. They can live for something else, which, based off of what Rwby said last time, very good message, right? Anyway, yeah. Oh, and one other thing, we see a portal at the end. Yeah, we see a portal at the end, which is kind of a big deal. And apparently Little knows this person, so it's either John or that's Rwby, or I don't know, maybe Ty showed up and he thought it was John. I don't know, something, right? And that was crazy. They're setting up more things than they're finishing, but to put into perspective, we might actually get a volume 10. I made a little video on that not too long ago, and everything looks to be talking good, so most likely we will get a volume 10. So this actually does work as setup, which means, hey, guess what? Everything is automatically better, because if this was the final thing of Rwby, it would not be that great, but since it's not, it's pretty great. Then, next one is episode 4. We start with Yang and Rwby being sisters, and this time it's only Yang and Rwby. No other additional characters, which we kind of needed. Rwby, we find out Ruby's kind of a celebrity because everyone saw her message, and since it's her message, she's the one who has to, all the people of Vacuo are oh, Vacuo Vale, all that, they're oh, Ruby's the person who brought us together, and that's pretty good. But you can. It's interesting to see Rwby finally being a kind of almost superhero archetype, or she says they need more than a mascot, which obviously she is, but you can tell that that's kind of eating away at her too. Wonder if that will turn into something. And then they get introduced to Baba or blah blah something. Blah blah. I don't know. I'm not good at that stuff. Anyway, it's a drink place. They moved, and Yang took her there, where they have their nice little talk. Yang essentially apologizes to Rwby. She's like, hey, I'm really sad that I couldn't do anything when you needed my help, and that really hurt me, and I can only imagine how much it hurt you to not have anyone to talk to, especially since I'm your sister. And they kind of talk things out, and they Rwby opens up a little bit, and then Yang's like, hey, let's make a word that we'll find out whenever one of us feels overwhelmed. And Ruby's like, how about blah blah or something like that. Yeah, she names it after that, and yeah, it was a pretty sweet moment. I thoroughly enjoyed both these episodes. Once again, improvement over episode 1. And I can safely say it now, though, that if we do get a volume 10, this is really good setup for everything. It engages us, it gives us a few questions, and they are seemingly adding more questions than answers, but that's not necessarily a bad thing if we know what's coming in the future, which in this case will most likely be a volume 10. Anyway, I'm going to give both of these episodes another 7 as well. They do everything pretty well. There's nothing too great, and to be fair, I do want something of this sort to be in the actual volumes, an explanation for this, because this is supplemental material. However, I do understand that supplemental material can argued to be watched, and also this is like less than 20 minutes of your time, so you could just bite the bullet and watch the dreaded 20 minutes of the content, which will most likely be included in a Blu-ray additional to volume 10 or whatever, right? Anyway, yeah, that's all I have. Have fun, guys. I'm finally out of school, so get ready. Videos are coming, and get ready for May. It's going to be a very interesting month. Alrighty, goodbye.